Hello everyone and welcome back to Sage Holistic Health and Wellness Center. I'm your host, Emily Celis, and it's time for another episode all about holistic well-being. Today I have with me Talia Bombola. She's a pre-licensed therapist and she is here to talk all about her class that she's going to be offering called Retrain Your Brain. And you're really going to want to hear about this because it's an awesome class that talks and teaches all about expertise in assertiveness, increasing your self-esteem and self-worth, how to have better boundaries, and thriving relationships and friendships. So have a listen.
SAGE is a 501c3 nonprofit organization building community by providing education and counseling about physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. We encourage all of our listeners to find their own path to what holistic wellness means to you.
So welcome to our show here at Sage Holistic Health and Wellness Center. I am so excited to have Talia Bombola here with us today. And we're going to be talking about her class that she offers called Retrain Your Brain. And first of all, I just want to give her a chance to talk about herself a little bit.
Yeah.
And introduce yourself and kind of who you are, what you do, and how you're affiliated with Sage.
I love it. So my name, like Emily said, is Talia Bombola. I'm a marriage family therapy associate. So I'm not quite licensed yet, but I'm on my way.
Close.
Yes, very close. And I work at Sage seeing my own clients and teaching this group. And a little bit of background about myself. I'm about halfway through my road to licensure. And this group started as a brainchild for me at my first place that I worked. And it was such a huge hit that I'm really excited to be able to bring it to Sage. And I think that about covers my background.
Yeah. Well, we're so happy to have you. I know you graduated from Chicago.
Yes, I went to, it's a very long title, and it's not in Chicago, but it's called the Chicago School of Professional Psychology. And it was located in Irvine, right about UCI. That's a pretty good landmark to use, I would think.
It's a great school. I've heard really good things about it.
It gave me a great education, both in and out of the classroom. So I greatly appreciate it.
So awesome. So we're so glad to have you.
Thank
And
you.
love having you as part of Sage.
Yes.
And so we're just going to have you talk a little bit about what this means. So
Sure.
Retrain Your Brain is going to be an 8-week course.
It's an 8-week
But
course, yes.
want to give Talia a chance to really explain like who this class is for, who would benefit from it, and that's kind of where we want to start.
Okay. So this class is my baby. I love this class. As Emily said, it's 8 weeks long, and we spend about a couple weeks, sometimes depending on how many people are in the group, we'll give an extra week. We extend it. But we spend about 2 weeks discussing 4 topics. So those topics are mindfulness, so either meditation or however you would view mindfulness, interpersonal communication, and that includes your friends, your family, your teachers, your coworkers, whoever you interrelate to, that is also covered under that. It's how to regulate your feelings, whether it's your internal or external feelings, and then it's also learning how to, I don't know how else to put it, but tolerate those really icky, distressful situations that you otherwise may have not as much skill in tolerating. So we cover it all. Anything that you can think of is probably covered in this course with the skills that we teach. So in each of the sessions, we kind of go through, we don't try and do too much. We go through as many skills as I think relevant to who I'm seeing in that group and kind of what they're wanting to get out of it. And that's how I start, is I ask who the person is and what they're hoping to get out of the group, because I really like to make it catered to whoever is in my group. So in the more mindfulness and meditation based practice, which is based in, the entire group is based in a behavioral therapy kind of modality, and that's like a way of doing therapy that I have adapted to, I think, more of a manageable and digestible amount of time. Because we're all busy, right? We all have lives and we all have things to be doing that we don't have time to devote 3 to 5 years to be learning this. I give you like the quick and dirty, it's 8 weeks or 10 weeks depending, and then we're able to really help teach you those skills. So we go through mindfulness and meditation as a personal thing, and I tell that to people in my group. I'm not really a mindfulness-based person. I had a teacher in grad school who would start classes with mindfulness, and I like to work under pressure. So I get there, and we like calm down, and I'm like, I don't want to be zen. Like, I want to be where I'm activated. I like it. But I've learned that it can be very helpful, and sometimes even a quick couple minutes is all I need. But some people love it. Some people can do it for 30 minutes. I don't know how, but they can.
So that's a great point, though. So you're saying that for you, you didn't enjoy that, but then you eventually found some benefits to it. So what would you say to the person that kind of struggles with that same thing, where you're like, I don't want to be zen. I like being activated. I like being kind of on the edge of my seat.
I found, and an old colleague of mine showed me this video. It's a YouTube meditation video, and it's humor-based. So for me, I could stay activated. It wasn't like this zen seriousness. I could stay activated in the way I wanted to, but it was using a sense of humor that I was laughing to the point of tears sometimes. So my stress was gone, but it wasn't like an immediate drop off into being super serious. It was so kind of like a laughter sense. And I was still probably bothered by whatever was going on for me or activated by it, but I was able to at least zone out and focus on what I needed to.
Right.
And I even show that to people I, see now, and they love that meditation. It's hysterical.
So it's just a way to keep present. You're bringing that presence, which is what mindfulness is all about.
Exactly.
But you were doing it through humor.
Yes.
Or that's what worked well for you. I mean, you attempted it in a lot of other ways too, but that's interesting.
It's the way that worked the best for me. Yeah.
So the mindfulness is the first aspect. So you kind of begin this group talking about mindfulness, and why do you think that's the way that you start this group out?
I think it's two parts. The first reason is the base of a lot of what the group is about. It references the mindfulness, so it gives us all in the group common language to use. But I also think it's my way of showing my sense of humor, which is a huge part of, I think, why people love the group. Because I'm very real. Like, when it comes to that group, I'll be very humorous with it. I'll be serious when I need to, but they are able to see, oh, it's okay if I don't agree with mindfulness. Because not everybody likes it.
Doesn't kind of jump on board with
that
idea.
And so I can sense that out early on, and it's a great way for them to know, okay, even if the original plan isn't for me, there's going to be something out there that may work. And I always encourage people, if there's like a lot of mindfulness trial and error things you can go through, like exercises that you can try. Yeah. And I tell them, if it doesn't work once or twice, throw it out. Don't do it again. Like, don't.
Some good advice.
Yeah, don't beat yourself up like, oh, I didn't get this. 1A is not working for me. I can't take it. It's like, no, like, let's try to 100A, and you try it a few times. If it doesn't work, then bring it up and we'll laugh about it.
Right.
So I think it's helpful.
Over.
Exactly.
Something else.
Exactly.
And that is such a great point, I think, with anything like mental health related, that it's not about doing it one way or the right way. It's like really finding what works for you. And so it sounds like that is such a central part of what you do, is you facilitate that for people to say,
hugely,
this is not mindfulness in the way that you think it's going to be.
It's
for
however
example.
it works.
Yeah.
It really is.
And helping them find what works, because maybe some people don't have an idea of how to do that in a different way. And it sounds like you come with this kind of creative sense about you to be able to help people find that.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite parts about teaching that group, is getting to see the people's face of like, what? Like, I didn't know that counted. I'm like,
you could do it different.
Cooking counts as mindfulness. Some people love actually cooking, but they're not a big fan of mindfulness-based practice. Right. And I'm like, well, that counts. And they're like, oh, wait, that's really cool to know. So I think that's
like
helpful.
Zen in motion or something like that, where it's like you can be doing something and still just be very aware of what it is that's going on for you. Rather
Cooking,
than
gardening, there's so many things that count.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I lead in with that, and then sometimes, depending on the group and depending on where I sense more people are at, or more people are like, oh, this portion of it would be super helpful for me to know, and let's say they're all on board with that, I'm very flexible with working around. But let's just say, for conversation's sake, the next section I usually do or work on in the next couple weeks after mindfulness is interpersonal effectiveness and the communication and how to be the best you in relation to other people. So that's where that title, or calling it that and being effective at being your best self comes in. And where I see a lot of people having an area for growth, or where they're really coming in being like, yeah, this is where I want to help, is either with coworkers, if it's with adults, or if it's with like kiddos and teens with their peers, or advocating for themselves with teachers. That's a huge one. And I think the best way to explain a lot of what those skills are like is setting boundaries with people, asking for your stuff back if you let somebody borrow something, how to say no to a date, how to say yes to a date, how to set some time away from maybe a really big family for just you and your partner, or for just yourself. It's a lot about how to communicate those needs that come from here to the external world.
Yeah, like how to ask for what you need, how to, when there might be sometimes where people might shy away from doing that, because, I mean, there's just a lot of people pleasing, or trying to like just do what other people want you to do, but then that kind of ends up leaving you really unhappy. So definitely. You know, when you were talking about that too, it made me think about how kind of as we all age and kind of get into later years in our life, that there aren't as many set situations for people to connect with each other. You know, it's either going to be work or school, which a lot of times people aren't in school anymore, or maybe the work environment that you're in is not the people that you'd want to be hanging out with. So it can become like, where do I meet people, and how do I meet people, and everyone else already has their life going, and how am I going to fit into other people's lives, and
how do I join a friend group as an adult, because that's weird.
Really vulnerable
Last
to
time
do that.
I was 15. It's I hear the whole spectrum of it.
That is interesting to hear, like how this is like, it's like almost part of the group is like how to make friends.
I have had many group members end up making connections. Whether it's lifelong or not, I don't know, but they're able to even practice the skills and what we talk about with each other
in the group.
And it's this really unique thing that each group takes on its own personality, and I think that's a lot of the case with many group dynamics, is that no two groups are the same, and everybody is able to learn from each group member. And I think even learning from, I'm shockingly a very assertive person, but that helps me be able to teach this group, because a lot of it is just encouraging them to do things. They just need permission for it. They want to do it, they know how to do it sometimes, maybe sometimes not, and they learn how to, and then it's like, but I have somebody who has my back, and now I have accountability with my group to ask for my thing back, or ask this person I see all the time out on a date or whatever, and if it doesn't land well, you have built-in support. And if it lands well, you also have built-in support. So that's one of the really cool parts about that section of the group.
And I imagine, too, kind of fleshing out all the reasons why people don't tend to do that, kind of really zoning in on, like, maybe what are those obstacles for all of you in the group? Like, why are you not doing this already? And kind of figuring out and learning from that, from each other. I would imagine there's a lot of similarities between everyone across the board for why they don't do those things already. Asking for their things back, or speaking up to ask someone to go hang out. Why do they not do that? Why do they shy away from that? So,
and sometimes what I've noticed is that it's very rooted in, get comfortable here. It's very rooted in how you were raised, or maybe how you were socialized growing up. If you had a big friend group, or you grew up with 7, 8 siblings sometimes, it's probably way easier for some people to deal with a lot of communication. Dynamics. But if you grew up maybe as an only child, or you had a sibling who was way older than you, or just different dynamics played out in your life, it's likely maybe a little bit harder or a little bit easier, depending, to communicate with other people. You know, I've seen people who have 8+ siblings, and because it was so silenced for them in their house, they're not as skilled as being assertive. But then I've seen some
wasn't enough space
that they're like, nope, that's it.
And it could have to do with the order.
Exactly.
We're getting off topic here now.
It's true, but it's the
like
sibling
the
order.
You know, maybe the younger ones had to be louder to get what they needed, where the older ones, you know, and it could be different in each family.
And that's why I think the group is so helpful, because you can hear from people who are all walks of life. Oh, I was an only child, but this was easy for me. Or I had 8 siblings, but I felt like I still am having discomfort talking in this group. Like, it's very hands-on.
That's great.
We deal with it, whatever you're going through. We talk about it. And sometimes there are some group members who portion of the 8-week course is easier for them, and they're more of a support in the other weeks. It may not be like their time to shine, so to speak, but they're still very valuable, and I still love having them in my group because they help bring that group to life. But then there's some other weeks we're all there to support each other.
So I would imagine, and I think you even said this before when we were talking, that there's that increased self-esteem that comes especially from this module. These 2 weeks that you're focusing in on the interpersonal connection.
And I think another huge benefit is really having meaningful and even longer lasting relationships, and being able to communicate and assert yourself in friendships or romantic relationships or any other type of relational dynamic, two-way street, that's not working for you. There have been times in groups that I've taught where a friendship may end, or a relationship kind of turns a new leaf. It takes a different turn than they were otherwise maybe planning out. But they, as a person, and their relationship or friendship ends up stronger because of it. They're able to more effectively talk about and disclose what they need to grow that relationship. Because a lot of the times, I mean, I definitely have been in that situation where it's like, oh, I don't really want to, what if I say this, and then it does this, and then I don't really know. So some of the best advice I ever got was any relationship or friendship that you lose over being honest and kind is not one worth having. And that's kind of part of the next.
That's great advice.
I mean, it's helped a lot of my group members, and it ties in hugely to the next weeks that I usually do. The next couple weeks are about emotional control, whether it's, and this came up with one of my groups, so I have to credit the group in general. That chapter of that group was, not everybody was struggling with bringing in their emotions because they were too grandiose or too big. It was, I don't really have any feelings, how do I get some? So it can help you grow feelings, and it can help you kind of appropriately mute them. So not that you don't have them, but so you're not saying, oh, I'm feeling a level 10 of blank feeling. You need to feel level 10 also. It's largely being able to communicate them calmly, but also being assertive and effective in communicating them. So that's kind of why I like to do more of the meditation, mindfulness, the communication piece,
increase
and then
the awareness, and then
because we
about communication.
feel things all the time, but we don't always know how to talk about it. So if we build on staying present in the moment, being able to talk about what's going on in the moment, how do you feel in the moment, that's a huge part where it's either you're feeling too much or you're feeling too little. Maybe you don't have language for it. There's many charts and graphs and things that I reference, but I do think at a large part what other people who are in the group bring up is, well, I don't define this feeling this way. I define it this way. Or I was taught this growing up, that a feeling should mean this, but as an adult I've realized I don't equate love with such and such, or I don't equate anger with this.
I mean, it's so different, the experiences.
Hugely, and that's again the social learning part of being in a group. And I would say also being able to discuss and feel more comfortable about feelings has helped have more of that regulation within yourself of, I'm feeling angry, I should probably not talk to my boss right now. It all links back, and it's, let me be in this moment, let me acknowledge that I am angry, and maybe go work out. There's a lot of skills that teach you how to get into or out of each feeling and each emotion that you're having. So you're not just left like, well, great lady, thank you for telling me that this is anger and I don't know what to do with it. We really work towards getting a best plan for you.
Like an action plan instead of being reactive, but even trying to define, this is what I do when I get angry. This is what anger is. I'm going to label
it here
this
in my body.
And then I usually lash out at people that I love, for example. Well, what are some other options? What can you do otherwise? Go for a walk, or go
for a run. Splash cold water on your face, ice pack on the neck. There's so many. We really are hands-on in terms of picking a best practice, I guess you'd call it, for each person's feeling. And we spend a good amount of time on each emotion. There's a kind of a guideline. We don't try and get too crazy and reinvent the wheel, but I have people who love the movie Inside Out.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, that is a deep movie.
it is. It totally is.
Oh my
but
gosh.
the 5 basic
Yeah.
things that 5 basic feelings they bring up. Sometimes
Yeah.
people like that. Then I have a lot of people who have been writers, and they're very descriptive, and they just feel very intensely. And I have this chart that I found, I don't even know how many years ago, and it describes the base emotions and their synonyms and their synonyms, and it goes like a pinwheel.
Yeah.
So I give each person all of that, so you may surprise yourself and be like,
choosing.
I actually describe my anger as searing loathing. But sometimes it's just frustration. Right. So I give a lot of resources too. That's definitely, you're not going to leave with empty hands. Yeah. Literally or figuratively.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Yeah. And then we wrap up with, and I like to wrap up with this, but like I said, sometimes each group takes on its own personality. I like to wrap up with how to tolerate those stressful and distressful situations, and I always lead that. So if there's a teaser, I always lead with there's 2 types of stress. There's eustress, EU stress, which is positive. So like you're really excited for something, but it's kind of stressful till you get there. And then there's distress, which is what we usually associate with stress, that icky feeling, that heavy, like burnout. Oh, I can't get through this week. I just can't even sleep. I have so much on my mind. So this portion of the group and the class is really designed for bringing both of those into more of an alignment. And so if you're really stoked about something or excited, but you still can't sleep, or you're super bogged down with something and you still can't sleep, or the best example I give is when people, this is a hot button, traffic. Who likes, I don't like traffic. I rather dislike traffic. But instead of angering myself because I'm showing up late, showing up in a bad mood, and then it sets off a tailspin for the rest of the day, one of the things I teach is it's just acceptance. And that's like the highest form of acceptance. It's almost like at a radical level of you're going to be late no matter what. Waze is not giving you like, this is the path, your car can fly. So you're going to be late. You're going to be 5 minutes late. Are you going to get angry and anger yourself and maybe ruin your whole day or somebody else's, a coworker or loved one's day over it? Or you're just going to sit back and be like, I'm going to be 5 minutes late no matter what. Let me call a loved one. Let me make use of the time. It's almost reaching like, and other people get this with different emotions. They're so blank, they're calm. They're so angry, stressed, whatever. They just reach this like zoning out point. Right. You're almost cheating in a good way the system of reaching that ahead of time. It's like, why need to go through the anger to get there? Right. And why put your body through all of the icky stuff that bad stress can do, you know? Raising your stress levels, your cortisol, which causes belly fat, etc. And I run through a lot of that in the class too, is there's huge benefits to tolerating those icky, sometimes inevitable, like traffic situations. Right. And so it's like a nice wrap up for all of everything you've learned in the class.
And I imagine you spend some time kind of processing through real life examples for people that they bring.
We definitely do. I set aside a time, so it's not every class that you're given a take-home or homework assignment, but grown-ups like calling it take-home assignments rather than homework. They're like,
not homework.
It's like, I don't want to think about school. It's been so long. But a take-home assignment or homework assignment, I think I make it very adaptive. So I don't want to stress people out and cause them like, oh, this is when I need to tolerate the stressful situation. Like, well, we're not there yet, so hold on. But I give them a take-home of applying the skills. And it starts, and the first thing, it starts with the meditation mindfulness-based practices of what works for you and what doesn't. Try these out.
Right.
Great. And if you like it, then it's a bonus. And if you don't like it, you never have to do it again. And then you come back the next week. You discuss what's been helpful for you, what's not been helpful for you. And you may bring up something that another person is like, oh, I actually really liked it, but it was because I did blank that it worked for me. They go back and try it. That ends up being a new mindfulness tool they have.
Right.
So we do like a take-home or homework share, and then we discuss a lot of the new skill. I do a question and answer portion, and if there's any lingering questions, students are free to send that over to me, and then it doesn't, because sometimes people feel like they're taking away from other group members' time, but I still bring it up. So I am able to assert myself very easily, but I also assert for them, and I don't ever call out a group member. I think it's helpful for them to feel that safety and that security, and then by the end of it, they're usually like, by the way, I have this. I'm like, yes, I love this. I love seeing like the transformation.
Right.
And
That's
group
exactly
members
what
love
you're
it
trying
too.
to teach.
Yeah, and I spend a lot of time doing a wrap up with things you've learned about yourself, things you've learned about your group members, how have you seen them grow, so I really make it a positive experience.
Right. I mean, it just sounds like an awesome group, and I know you've taken great care to whittle down what was a much longer program.
It's either like half a year to a year, sometimes longer, depending.
So you've just gotten all these nuggets, and you've just like kind of whittled it down
the curriculum
and so I think anyone that wants to take this class, the ideal person that would want to take this would be
anyone who is functioning pretty well in their daily life, but can see a potential benefit from, I'd like to have better self-esteem. I'd like to not get angry as easily. I'd like to learn how to talk to people in a more effective and kinder and nicer to both myself and their self, like in a nicer way. People who are looking for a better way to kind of zen during the day or going to sleep. I do a lot of like sleep hygiene discussions when it comes to the mindfulness meditation and all of the kind of the weeks. But I think anyone who's really just trying to improve their daily life and their daily functioning can benefit, whether you're already doing excellent, you want to be A++, or you're not doing too great because of sometimes life situations. We all have seasons of our life, maybe the actual seasons don't agree, but we all have seasons of our life that are tougher than others. We have ages or years that we've been through that it was like,
we just
that was
survived.
just a knife to the chest, right? Surviving to thriving is another one. So if you're feeling like you're just getting by, but you really want to just take off with it in a good way, you're qualified for this group. If any part of this sounded interesting to you, you're qualified for this group. If you know someone who you're like, oh, this person would benefit, you could probably benefit still from taking the class. So
right, and so the place to kind of learn more about that, you can go to the website at www.sagewellnessctr.org to come up upon great information, dates that it's going to be offered in early part of 2019.
It's coming up.
And as you can tell, Talia has just got this great, authentic and just open and just humorous kind of way to approach this. So you'll really enjoy the class and learning all these skills. So thank you so much for being here.
Of course, absolutely. I look forward to seeing you all join.
Are there any last things you wanted to say about the group? Or I know I was thinking the name, Retrain Your Brain. I mean, so where did you get that from? I guess that would be one last question I'd have for you.
That little nugget, that nomenclature, was the first group I ever held. I was trying to think of the best way to describe what the class was without listing all of what I just listed. Because if I read, I'd be like, this lady's nuts.
All these minutes,
right? But it was the best way to describe that. And actually on the original flyer, and it's stayed through all of the flyers I've ever made, it's a little brain lifting weights because I love weightlifting. It's really, it describes what the class is about, gives you a visual preview, but it also lets you know that's what it is. And the brain is never too old to be trained or retrained. That's the last nugget I will say, is you're never too old or too young to join this class.
No, I mean, it's across all ages. These would be great benefits to add to your life. So
absolutely.
Very good, and Talia is always available to answer any questions, and I don't know if you want to say your phone number and your email address if people want to contact you, so they can know where to find you too.
So it's also on my page on the website, but my phone number, that's my best contact, is 714-280-7045, and then my email is Talia Bombola at sagewellnessctr.org, and that is spelled TaliaBombola.
Awesome. Well, thanks again so much for being here with us, and we'll look forward to having you on the show again.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks so much for joining us today. I hope you learned something new. We have dates already set for this class, so I'm excited to announce that Wednesday, February 6th will be the first day of this class. It will be from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock p.m. at our offices in Santa Ana here in Orange County. The class cost is $299, but if you pay in advance, you will only pay $249. And as always, we are a nonprofit organization, so if fees are a problem for you and you need some help with sliding scale because you really want to come, by all means, please contact us and talk to us about what your needs are. So what this class offers and what it includes in that cost is 8 different group sessions. Each of those sessions are 2 hours long. And you also get 2 individualized sessions to deal with any issues that you feel are personal that you would like to talk to the instructor Talia about. And you also will get a skills binder. So hopefully, if this is a class that is piquing that curiosity and you think that this might be something that could be a good next step for you, you can get signed up because the class is filling quickly. Talk to you soon. See you around.
Thank you for spending some of your time today with us at Sage Holistic Health and Wellness Center. If you like what we're all about, please consider supporting our nonprofit organization by making a tax-deductible donation. To do this, you can go to our website at www.sagewellnessctr.org and click on Donate in the upper right-hand corner. We look forward to spending some time again with you real soon. Take good care.